Hi, I chose to do my speech on the morality of abortion. I am qualified to make this speech because I live and breathe the environment these kids are brought into every day. Children are not wanted or cared for by their parents. Either their parents are in jail or are on the streets doing drugs, and they are given to relatives and brought, from home to home to home until they're eventually placed in foster care. Think about the instability and the anger and bitterness that this produces. Society is full of little individuals that are bitter and angry. Most cannot function as a productive member of society, so why not choose abortion? It's a great controversial topic. Abortion's always been considered murder or mortal sin, and despite the views of some people about this, abortion can be seen as a moral thing to do for women and society as a whole. Let me start by giving you a brief history of abortion. Abortion has not always been thought of as immoral. Greeks and Romans recognized that there was always certain circumstances where this was okay, and Jewish and the Christian theologians recognized this also. And birth control and abortion were always widely used and accepted during the founding of the United States. It wasn't until the New Testament was written that Christians avowed that abortion was somewhat sinful. Anyways, the church was still not entirely against abortion. It depended on the circumstances. Now, Plato and Aristotle, they thought that the fetus was not human until after approximately 40 days after conception for a male, and after 80 days for a female. This philosophy was adopted by the Christians and became the doctrine of delayed ensoulment, which is the time in which the soul enters the body and becomes human. It wasn't until later that it became secular law, and not a sin or a crime, but secular law. But in the church, it was still looked upon somewhat not sinful. Well, my first point here is women have the right and the moral obligation to decide when to start a family. Margaret Sanger stated in her book, and she summed it up very nicely, a woman's body is hers and alone. It does not belong to the church. It does not belong to the United States of America or any other government on the face of this earth. The first step towards getting life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness for any woman is her decision whether or not she shall become a mother. I thought that just summed it up very nicely. Women also have the right and the moral obligation to decide how many children they will have or they can manage, and how far apart they will have them. Sometimes in other countries, abortion is worldwide. Other countries, they have babies, even in the United States, they have babies 9 months apart. And it's not such an issue, a health issue in the United States, but in other countries it becomes very bad. In countries where it's outlawed, they have back alley abortions, which they have non-sterile environments, and they're done by women out of desperation. Either they have been raped or incest, and they've become pregnant, and they just need to get rid of this baby. If you don't legalize it, then that puts the mother at risk. And what about in the other countries where, they're having babies 9 months apart? There's too many births too close together. Women need to give their bodies time to refurbish. If not, then they encounter difficulties and even death. If the mother dies, then the infant has very little chance of surviving. And what about the children of these parents? Children need to be loved and nourished in order to grow up as strong, productive members of society. If a mother has too many children, she cannot devote the love and care that she needs to this child. And also, mothers, if another baby comes along, then they have to quit breastfeeding that other one, which stops it from being nurtured. And that older child has a better chance of not surviving because the mother has to give all her attention to the younger one. To sum it up, women have the right and the moral obligation to take care of their bodies, to not have too many children, and to nurture the ones they have. So why, if you get pregnant unexpectedly, why not have an abortion if you cannot do this? Abortion also benefits society as a whole. The crime rate has decreased over the last 3 decades since abortion was legalized. It's especially apparent among such violent crimes as rape, murder, and aggravated battery. In New York alone, 30%, the crime rate has dropped 30%. And studies show that there are fewer young men around, and it is mostly young men who commit crimes. It also, the overpopulation of our social system. Statistics show that there's too many children in our social welfare system. There's too many to keep up with. You hear it in the news all the time. The Department of Children have misplaced a child or two. But it's... And don't get me wrong. I don't think we should be aborting every child, but you have to use your head and make the decision. And adoption is a very good thing, but it's not working as well as we would like. A lot of people don't believe in adoption. They want their own children. And there's not enough people out there that want to adopt. So the kids get thrown into the system, into foster care, and they're from foster care to foster care, and it's not working. Why not divert some of our money from these programs? Why not take the money for foster care and divert it into paying for abortions for women who are not mentally or financially ready to have children? Why not have a one-time fee for the abortion versus 18 years of supporting this child in foster care? What about the mentally and physically handicapped children? In today's medical world, we have the ability to know if a baby in the womb is going to be mentally retarded or physically handicapped. Is it fair to bring these children into the world? There are cruel people in this world, and I see it every day. And I would not wish my child to have to grow up like that in this world. What happens if the caregiver that handles the child dies? Society has to take them. They're put into institutions paid for by taxpayers until they die. If they're lucky, they'll be put into an institution where they're well cared for. If not, well, you know, you've heard about those institutions. Another benefit for society, I might say, is stem cell research. Use of the aborted fetus for stem cell research is a win-win situation. Unwanted children are not a burden on society, and stem cells can find cures for diseases. According to NARO, Pro-Choice America, this could lead to treatment of and possibly cures to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease, which what they do with the stem cells is they produce a certain neuron that can be transplanted. It can be used for spinal cord injuries, strokes, burns, tissue transplantation and heart disease, diabetes, and the growth of cells that form cartilage, which helps osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis. To sum it up, society as a whole has a moral obligation to reduce the crime rate, fix the social welfare system, and find a cure for diseases already plaguing us. Why not choose abortion? In conclusion, though, many women get pregnant unexpectedly, forced or accidentally. If not willing and able to raise children, abortion is the morally right thing to do. Churches and politicians are not the ones who will raise these children on a daily basis. It will be the mother or society as a whole. And morally, it is our obligation to ensure that we are ready, willing, and able to bring a life into this world and be able to accomplish this duty with love and care.